Okay, I understand that we're live. And I'm going to say thank you all for tuning in to 810 News Media because we just want to have a conversation with everybody about what is going to be coming to Flint. I see you, Amber. Okay, there you are. There you are. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me share this because we've been talking about you. We've been talking about the sister tour. We have been talking about this performance that is going to be taking place here in the great city of Flint, Michigan, and I'm excited. And as I've listened to people, people are looking forward to you all being here. So we've been letting everybody know to save the date because Saturday, April 8th, Water Remembers. It will be at the McCree Theater, and it is the sister tour. And so I have some questions that I'm going to ask, but why don't you just give us some background about the sister tour?
Well, the sister tour was kind of born out of the water crisis.
Hmm.
So, in 2000, I think it was 15, 16, we worked with a photographer, Latoya Ruby Frazier. She's an amazing, award winning, world renowned photographer to do a piece for Elle magazine about the water crisis. And afterwards, Latoya did not just do one piece for Elle magazine and leave. She wanted to build relationships with us. And she became a patron of us as artists and just gave us the energy of sisterhood, like a true
Hmm.
sisterhood, just really poured into us and with whatever resources she had available. Whenever she was doing shows showcasing our work, she invited us to come and participate. And we wanted to thank her. And there's nothing we could buy her. There was nothing we could
Hmm.
do for her except for pay it forward. And so with the sister tour, what we do is we offer resources, opportunity, and a network for women, specifically Black women, but all women, entrepreneurs, creatives, and performers, because oftentimes we'll go to events and we'll be the only female performers,
Hmm.
or
Okay.
we'll be the only Black females at the whole event or venue or what have you. And so we always want to bring along with us our sisters, or reach out to sisters in the communities we're performing in to invite them to share the stage with us, so that we all are being highlighted and so that people know that we are out here, Black women are out here doing a thing, and it's no way to get around that.
And
So
you know what? And that was well, we are out here doing our thing, and you all did yours. I know when we came to see you all perform in Ann Arbor, I was just I didn't I said this before, I didn't know what to expect. And, we were just it was something. It was something. It exceeded expectations so much so that we said, "Can you come to Flint and do this?" I mean, really. And I like what you're talking about as far as Black women supporting each other,
yeah.
lifting each other up, because that's what this is about, and that's what we have to I mean, we have to do more of those kinds of things because we need to be together. There are so many obstacles and challenges that we face as Black women that are unique to us, and we know that. And so that's why I just love what you were talking about as far as reaching out wherever you are. So I have some questions for you, if that's okay, because one of it is how long have you been doing these performances? I mean, what motivated you? How did you get started?
So I got started with performing as a kid. My parents always, I took piano in the Flint schools. I took drama in Flint schools. I had amazing drama teacher at Central High School. He's now at
Mhm.
Powers, I think. Um, And I just had amazing like Boys and Girls Club of South Norfolk. When I would go visit my grandmother for the summer, we would go to the South Norfolk Boys and Girls Club, and we had an amazing like creative arts teacher there. So it was just throughout my childhood, different people pouring into me artistically and allowing me the space to
Mhm.
be able to express myself and showing me that this is something you can do in your life. Like, when we ask kids what they want to be when they grow up, we always expect to hear doctor, lawyer, but we
Right,
don't ever let them know, like, you can be a writer, you can be a
right. You
dancer.
can be an artistic it's in the arts, you can be creative and make a living doing that,
Yes, and
and
still
that's what
have a
people need to
message
know.
and still have
Exactly.
substance.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You can certainly be, an advocate and be in the arts. It's a great space to
Mhm.
advocate and talk about real life issues, and it's a way that sometimes people are turned off by the typical ways you get these kinds of messages, but you all do this through performance, and I think that was I mean, I loved it. I loved it. So you said your drama teacher, that you had at Central is now at Powers. Does your teacher know that you're going to be here performing?
I don't know, and I need to send him
You
an
do.
invitation
Yeah.
because he is just like he's amazing. If anybody ever took theater at Central, they already know. Like, you know, um, and Mr. Jennings, he was an amazing teacher.
Mhm.
He, didn't play no games. He was this, short little white guy with a high pitched voice who was in this inner city school, but he always, expected us to show up like professionals,
Mhm.
and that's what he taught us. And so just having people like that, Flint schools, when I went to Flint schools, were amazing. I had
Yes,
amazing
they were.
teachers. I was in
Mhm.
the magnet program, so I got to go to Central half the day, even though I was a Southwestern student. So I got to participate in creative arts, even though my school wasn't offering what I needed.
You
Um,
you had a place to go and get that.
yes, I had a place to go that was free,
That
that I
was free.
didn't have to
You
pay
know what?
for.
Say that again. It was free. And
It
and
was
and I
free.
guess I should say that again because this performance is free.
It's free.
It's free to the public, and I want people to know that because I think that's so important because many times these kinds of performances, these creative expressions are not free to the public, and it keeps us from experiencing it oftentimes. And so when it's free to the public, we want everybody to come to McCree
Yes.
and see this. We
And my
want everyone to come.
father, before I knew what McCree was, my father would tell me about how when he was a younger man, how McCree would have all of these. This was before the new McCree came,
Mhm.
and he would tell me how McCree was like a staple in the Flint community, even back in like the 70s,
Right.
80s.
It
Where
has. It's been around.
yeah, and so to see it come back and to have the impact that it has in Flint right now is amazing. I
Yeah.
actually one of the first plays that I did was for colored girls who consider suicide when the rainbow is enough, and that we
Mhm.
did it at the McCree Theater when they were over on what is that, Hamilton, when they used to be on
And
Hamilton.
they
So
use wow. I remember that. But so I have another question, Amber,
go ahead, go ahead.
because I want you to talk to people about this particular performance that's coming here. Let me say that date again, Saturday, April 8th. What is the significance of this performance, The Water Remembers?
So the Water Remembers is chronicling the relationship of Black women with water, um, on a spiritual level, because from the beginning of time, Black women throughout different cultures, whether it be Egyptian, whether it be West African, whether it be when we got here to the United States, we have a strong connection with the water. And the water has been used sometimes as a saving grace for us, and other times as a tool of oppression.
Yes,
And even until modern times, where we in Flint and we had a water crisis, and water was used as a tool
as a
for
tool of
oppression,
and it
and we
still
had,
is.
yeah, and we
It
had
still
to find
is.
a way to reconcile that and
Mhm.
to try to protect this resource. And we don't often look at Black women as environmentalists. That's not what we think of when we think of
Right.
people who are environmental advocates. And we are, and this is one way that we can do that. And we can do it with our own flavor and our own style, and show the world that this message doesn't have to be put in some little box. We can be, environmental advocates in whatever ways that we already express ourselves to the world.
You know what? And that's an important point because so many times it's defined in ways that don't include our expression.
Yeah.
And so when you bring that to the table, it's like, no, we are environmentalists and we are advocating and fighting about the water. And we have been doing so because of, I mean, you talked about this spiritual connection that starts from the beginning of time.
Hmm.
The beginning of time, and I think that's what was so interesting, and that was one of the things that I really liked about the performance because you talked about culture and what different things meant and why we do different things, when you talked about even just pouring sometimes it's some liquor out of
Hmm.
a bottle, why we do those things and really what it meant, because we've lost that piece of it, and we think you just do it, but there was a reason that this
Yeah.
was done. And so you all, explain that and examine that. So I thought it was deep, but it was everybody could get it because kids are part of this performance. I mean, this is for young and old alike.
And that was another thing that we were very intentional about, because with this whole thing about critical race theory and not
Mhm.
teaching kids, the reality of history because it might be too heavy for them. We wanted to demonstrate how you can teach anything to anyone. It's about how you address it and how you package it. And you have to speak to kids in their own language. And so, song and dance are part of how kids communicate, especially
Exactly,
young Black kids. And
exactly.
so, if we can take and put this heavy information into digestible forms, we can
Mhm.
teach anything.
Y
And
yeah.
I think it's important.
So, it's yourself. It's Shay Cobbs. It's Nicole Middleton. A lot of people know her as Big Juicy. How did you 3 come together to do this? I mean, were you all sitting around the table just talking? I mean, how did you 3 say, "We're gonna do this"?
So Shay and I have known each other since kids. Like, she lived a few blocks around the corner from me. Her and my younger sister were like best friends growing up. So we've always known each other. Shay was always, I've always been an artist, but kind of, low key. Shay was
Mhm.
always, you could always catch her with headphones on, singing, writing, whatever. And so once we got into adulthood, we began to, be in the same circles artistically as well. And it just grew our sisterhood in a different type of way.
Mhm.
And when we connected with Latoya, I was working as Shay's manager at the time. And when Latoya invited us to New York to do her opening of the exhibit Flinnis Family, which she has an amazing book by that same title, Flinnis Family in 3 Acts, which chronicles this whole journey that we
Okay.
took together. Um, when we went to New York, she was like, "Well, what do you all want? What do you need?" And we said, "We want to bring other Flint women artists with us." And she said, "Well, okay, you got it." And so she had the budget drawn up to include us bringing other Flint women artists. And Shay and I were like, "Well, who do we want to bring?" And so I had known Big Juicy. I had known Juicy from just her working in restaurants, and her
Okay.
being the most amazing waitress that you could have,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And Shay had never worked with her artistically either. And we like, let's reach out and see if she wants to go. And so we reached out, we told her what we were doing, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm down." And she just joined the sisterhood after that. And it's been ever since. Um we've been to San Francisco doing performances. We've been to U of M, to MSU, to Flint Institute of Arts. And so anywhere we go where we have an opportunity, we always pull our sister in. And if it's once we continue building this network, there'll be more sisters coming in and more sisters joining this. And she just aligned with what we wanted to do and what we wanted to speak to. And that's what the sister tour is all about, you know. So that's how it happened.
Well, they need to come and see. They need to come and see. Uh, on April 8th, Saturday, April 8th, from 3 to 5 at the new McCree Theater, and this is free to the public. And I just, I know I keep saying that, but I just think that's so important that it is
Yeah,
free
because
to the
people
public.
always talk about it ain't nothing to do in Flint or
Right,
it's
there's
nothing
something to
different
do.
to do other than
And this
clubbing.
would be different. I mean, because I'm telling you, it was when I came down there and saw you all, it was Martin Luther King Day. And I remember saying, I want to do something different and but something that is meaningful. And when I got this invite and I said, that sounds really interesting. And that it was about Flint and that you all were all from Flint. I said, how do you not go see this? And it was standing room only in there. It was standing room only. And I know you've been here once, but a lot of us didn't know it and we didn't get to see you. And it's worth you coming back. It's worth another look. Even if you saw it, it'd be worth seeing again.
And yeah, we created the Water Remember specifically. The University of Michigan invited us to be part of a water conference,
Okay.
where it was dealing with the Great Lakes watershed. And
Hmm.
they asked us to create a performance. And of course, when we create a performance, we always want to do something that represents us.
Right.
And that's how the Water Remembers came to be. And then they had such a good response from the first performance that they asked us to come back and do an encore performance, and that's the performance that you were able to come see. So I really appreciate the way that people are aligning with it and the way that people are responding to the work we've done. It makes it feel like, it's worth it.
And it is worth it. It is worth it. But it's always nice when you can see that people have appreciated the work that you're doing and
Mm.
what it means and what it represents. But it also, you're doing a few things here really because you're getting a message out. Yes, you're advocating, you're fighting about the water, you're speaking up, you're performing, but you're also showing black young black girls and hey, and some not so young black girls. How about that? That you can go into this space. So somebody's watching and they're watching you all and they say, I want to do that. Some of them might be young, some of them might be older. What advice would you give someone young or old who wants to get into the performing arts? What would you tell them?
Start doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just start doing it. It don't matter. Go to open mics,
Mhm.
go to any events where you see that people are doing the things that you want to do, because that's how you build your network. That's how you meet people with the opportunities. And they can always reach out to the sister tour. You know what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
sistertour.com. They
That's
reach
what I
out
was gonna
to.
ask you. How do they reach you? Hey, Mickey, can you put that in there? What is it? Thesistertour.com?
Yep, thesistertour.com, and they can find us under the Sister Tour on Instagram, on Facebook. And if they follow any of us personally on Facebook, they can reach out. We are always looking for ways to collaborate and to tell stories about the Black woman
Mhm.
experience in America. And that's what
Okay.
all of our performances have been about. And we curate our performances specifically for certain events. People will give us a topic. We were about to go to a farm
Oh.
conference in February. It got canceled because of the weather, but Michigan Family Farm
Mhm.
conference, and we were going to do a performance about Black women landowners and Black women farmers throughout history.
Oh, wow.
And
That
you
sounds
know,
like that would've been something.
I mean, we still got the performance now. We
Mhm.
came up with the performance.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
may we may put it on
We'll
ourselves,
talk to
but
you about some other things now, Amber. We're gonna talk offline about some other things.
and so that's our motivation, is just like, let's tell these stories of Black women that haven't been told. We get put in
Right.
boxes all the time. Let's step outside those
We're
boxes.
exactly. We're put in boxes. Our story isn't told, and if it is told, it's told incorrectly.
Man, it's told, so they do such a raggedy job of telling
Right.
our stories.
And that's why I think this that and I think that's what's empowering about what you all that performance that I saw, and as I listened to you talk about other ones that you can do, because we need to tell our own stories because nobody can tell our story better than we can tell our story. And it makes me think about what you talked about earlier with what is going on with the schools and them trying to change history and tell our story in a way that has been watered down. And so it's pleasing to the palate, I guess. And we can't
Yes,
let that happen.
yes.
You know, we can't let it happen.
We got to tell it the good, the bad, the ugly. I was
Exactly.
watching the Madam CJ Walker story, and
Mhm.
although it was very entertaining, it was a lot of false information in there, and they pitted the light skinned woman against her, and
Mhm.
that's not the true story.
And it's not the true story.
That woman that they pitted against her, the true character, was actually the first Black woman millionaire. She was an educator, she was a philanthropist, and they made this woman seem like she was some evil person, you
Well,
know?
that's but they like to divide us. They like
Hmm.
to divide us and put out misinformation and have us, fighting with each other and not lifting and supporting one another, and we look up and then we've all been, misused and abused and oppressed.
And then we
We're
have
too
no network because we done all
exactly,
talked
right,
about each
because it's
other.
been destroyed, because we're too angry with each other because of falsehoods. Well, let me just say because of lies.
That part.
How about that?
Mhm.
Since if we're gonna really talk,
If
let's
we
just
gonna talk about it, ain't no, it's lies. They,
it's
and
lies.
it's blatant, and so we
Mhm.
have to tell our stories, and we have to hold these stories to be valuable and not sell them for a petty price. If we want to be paid for our work, but also if somebody wants you to change your story,
Don't do it.
don't do it. It's not worth whatever they're trying to pay.
It's thank you. Thank you. It's
Not
not
worth
worth
it.
it. But you know what? It's so funny because I was talking to it was a couple of young men that have a clothing store. And you said and it's been interesting to talk with different people, because we do Black Money Matters and we talk about issues that are important for us and generational wealth. And, he said you said the same exact thing. I said, "What would you tell somebody?" And you said, "Start."
Yep.
You said, "Start." And that's sometimes if you just start, that's what it takes.
The only thing stopping us is us.
Mhm,
We so worried about what people gonna think. And people gonna talk. My granny used to always say people talked about Jesus Christ. So what
mhm.
make you think they're not gonna talk about you?
Well, exactly. That's
And so
exactly right.
eventually
And
those people's what they say about you will end up being positive because they won't have any other choice.
exactly, because 'cause you're gonna show them what you got, and that's why I'm excited about you all coming. I really am, and I think Flint will be excited, and I know they're going to be I mean, it's just such a wonderful performance that I can't wait. I can't wait for April 8th to get here.
I'm
And
really excited as well.
yeah,
I've been, the kids are excited.
they
Um,
should be.
to be able to do this somewhere where their friends and
Mhm,
classmates and
and
stuff
see
can
them.
come in and
So
see
so do
them.
their classmates do their they know they'll be here?
Well, they've been telling them, they've
Okay,
been telling them. Them kids ain't gonna let people not know that they finna get on stage now.
that's right. That's right. And it lets other kids. I mean, that makes it gives us a sense of pride, really.
Mhm.
It gives us a sense of pride when we see, "I know them," "That's my friend doing this," and it lets me know I can do these kinds of things.
Exactly. And for some of the kids, it will also allow their parents to feel like they have permission to allow their kids to do these things when they see,
Mhm,
because sometimes parents put the limitation on what kids can do.
mhm.
Parents are like, "Oh, my kid ain't gonna be able to do that," or they don't know how to do this or that. And it's like, you don't know what that child can do until you let them.
So when you first did this, were you all have your children as part
Mhm.
of this. Did it start out that way or
So it didn't, but
Mhm.
over conversation, there was this big, debate and stuff going on just about critical race theory.
Okay.
And I'm like, let's prove this wrong. Because we're talking about some really in some parts of this some really heavy information. And it's like,
Mhm.
let's prove this wrong. Let's involve our own children so that we can show people that no, you can teach about anything
Mhm.
as long as you speak their language, as long as you are honest. You know, we did research, like, you know, Shay would take the kids to the bookstore and they would look up books about, you know, about Yemoja and different, you know, African spiritual deities that were connected to water, or look up historical things. Like we had a
Mhm.
whole notebook that we made for the kids that went over each part, that explained to them what we were talking about. You know, so it explained to them about the history of everything. So they were learning
Mhm.
the history at the same time where they were
Same
learning the
time.
performance.
And don't even realize what they're learning. You
Yep.
recognize it later on,
Hmm.
what you learned, but, I mean, and it's such an easy, and it's a fun way too. I mean, you're enjoying that, and that's, learning doesn't have to be, "Ooh, this is." Yeah, there are times when it is hard, and you do have to study, but there are times when you can teach, and it's in a way that is, I don't know, embracing, uh, relaxing. It can be fun. And
Hmm.
they'll always remember these experiences. Even if they don't go on to be performers, they will remember what they learned, they'll remember the experience, and it gives them appreciation for the performing arts, and I think that's really important because people think we aren't part of the performing arts, and we are.
And people will go to say that, you know, Black Americans don't have culture. We don't have a culture. And so we try to pull in elements of
Mhm.
song and dance that are specifically African American, not African, not European, not anything else, that were created specifically by the descendants, or by enslaved people and the
Right.
descendants of enslaved people. So that was really important to us to expound on Black American culture, because, you know, people try to wipe that out and try to act like
Mhm.
jazz and blues and hip hop and all this didn't come from Black people.
And we've gotta tell our story. We've
We
gotta
have
tell our
to.
story. So before we go, Amber, is there anything that we didn't talk about? Is there anything that, people need to know? They need to know to come and see you all, the sister tour on Saturday, April 8th at the new McCree Theater from 3 to 5. It's free to the public. They need to know that. But is there anything else that we missed?
Just, you know, support women artists, support
Mhm.
Black women artists, be open to new things, you know, because we aren't all, I do hip hop, but we
Mhm.
aren't all rapping. We aren't all, you know, twerking.
Mhm.
We have different skills that we bring to the table. So if you know a Black woman author, buy her books.
Right.
If you have a budget where you can bring a Black woman artist to an event, pay her and pay her what she is
Mhm.
worth. Quit trying to
Mhm.
lowball us. You know, pay
Well,
people and don't make them
right.
chase you for their money.
Exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
that would be a great, like, that's, to me, that's paying it forward. If you go out and even if you don't book me, if you book a whole nother Black woman artist, that's good enough for me.
But, look, Imma say like Aretha Franklin, "What all I'm asking for
It's some respect.
is
That's
some
it.
respect."
Put some respect on my
Yeah,
name.
just a little bit. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time because I know you are busy. I know you all are taking care of some things, but I want to say thank you for coming on. I'm gonna see if I can get you back another time before the performance, but we are letting everybody know they need to be there for the sister tour on April 8th, and I'm looking forward to it, and so are so many other people. So we can't wait for you to get to Flint, and it will be if you miss it, you'll be sorry. That's all I can say. So I wanna say I'm saying thank you to you all in advance, and I'll see you soon.
Well, thank you. And if you ain't doing nothing Saturday, I have a tea tasting in Flint at the local grocery. So you can come check out some
You know
Black
what?
Girl Magic there
If
too.
back in time, is it this Saturday?
Yep, 1 to
If I
5.
get back in time, I will. I'm going where you've been.
Yeah, hey, listen.
I'm
You
going to Mississippi.
is gonna be in Mississippi,
I
ain't you?
get back Saturday. I don't
Oh
know
man. Well,
what time.
listen, we got to talk about Mississippi when you
Right.
get back
We
anyway.
gotta talk about Mississippi, and, is this send me the information.
I sure will.
Send me the information.
Yep.
That'll be good.
Yep. I sure will.
Okay, I'll look for it.
I got you. I'm gonna have T send it right over.
Okay, all right, and I'll be talking with you soon.
All right. It's always a pleasure.
Same here, same here. We'll be doing this again.
I'm ready.
Sister Act. We've been talking with Amber Hassan from the Sister Tour, and we are getting ready for Saturday, April 8th for the Water Remembers. It's a performance that you want to see. So I want to say thank you again to you, Amber. We're looking forward to you all coming and performing, and we'll be in touch. We'll be talking soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Y'all
Okay.
have a blessed one.
You too. Bye bye.